Round block.
Welcome to the Round Block podcast, where we like to talk to people instead of about them. Okay. Well, welcome to the Round Block podcast, where we talk to people instead of talking about them. And we have Ashley, who was why don't you guys just introduce yourself?
Okay. All right. Ashley Oyama. Obviously, you might have seen me in the past couple of days. I am a former teacher at Konowaina Elementary School. I was also last year's West Hawaii Complex Areas Teacher of the Year. I've, taught in education about 10, 11 years. This would have been my 11th year in the DOE. I've done early education. I was an EA before this as well. So I have a lot of, as just a parent, seeing what education was when my kids were in elementary, that really also inspired me to keep going. I started, I always tell myself I started at the bottom, to make sure that I wanted to do this. And I knew I wanted to do this. So that's why I kept pushing further to become a teacher. That's a little bit about me. And Trish.
Okay, let's go, Trish.
Aloha mai. My name is Trish Papalimu. I am an educator. According to Western standards, I'm not a certified teacher, but I am an educator, deeply rooted in culture and education through family and what I've experienced myself. I've been with the DOE since about 2009, started as a volunteer, worked my way up through the, PPTs. I'm currently a PPE, long-term sub. Just being in the classroom and supporting teachers and teaching classes on the side on my own as well. And interesting fact about Ashley and I, we both come out of the same elementary school, Honanao Elementary School. And that's our alumni, or we are alumni of it. So it's going to be interesting, our different perspectives on what we do and how we're going to handle this from here on out.
Okay, so currently you resigned, so you are unemployed now.
Yes, I am
That's
unemployed.
it. And are you unemployed or?
I'm still employed. I am choosing to do the weekly testing, but not vaccinate.
The weekly testing, that's got to be kind of hard.
It is. You got to find time to do it after work hours. You do it on your own time, on your own dime. You show your medical card and hope that you don't get billed. So you go into it thinking it's free. You show your card, they tell you there's a price. For instance, $150, comma inner rate goes down to like $135. But you just got to check the mail and see if you get a bill for it or not.
Wow.
The funny thing about the testing, though, teachers or, anyone, any state or county, I know for sure for teachers, if you are choosing to get vaccinated, you are giving 2 hours of paid time off. So you could take time out of your day and they would pay you to get your vaccination. Whereas now you're choosing not to vaccinate. So you're paying for your own testing.
Very biased.
On your own time. And it's discrimination straight out the bat.
No, I like to, when I have this conversation with people to, I always try to steer it away from the argument of vax versus non-vax. Yeah, I said no. This right here is a civil liberties fight. We're fighting for equality, and for one, I always thought we had a, with medical, I thought our medical conditions. I always felt it was private. How did our medical information becomes so, openly talked about and discussed. And doctors have, what is that?
HIPAA, the HIPAA law.
Yeah, the client-patient confidentiality agreement. That goes right out the door. So they're not following a lot of their, the laws and the protocols that they put in place. So I just think nothing right now is making sense. They're habitual line crossers. There's two sets of standards. They're incentivizing, and to me that's a big problem. Incentivizing things, especially to a community that doesn't have much. So you're basically rewarding them for going with your narrative. You're buying their it's almost like you're buying their approval and their support. So this thing from jump has been very unfair, in my opinion. So, I mean, look at you. You're doing weekly testing on your own dime when she just said that if you wanted to get vaccinated, they'd pay for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, something's wrong with the system. So what are you guys doing, career wise? This was your life, this was your career. Where do you see it going now?
I mean, after the decision, and just to be honest, that wasn't even the decision I was going with. I had asked for leave without pay. I talked to the SAS at our school, and I kind of knew what options I had. So I presented, okay, I want to do a leave without pay for the rest of the year, hoping, I'm not getting paid for it. So, I don't know the logistics behind it. I was told I could do up to a semester of leave without pay. So going into my meeting with administration, I knew what I could ask for, and I was hoping to be, they would work with me. Nothing. Straight off the bat, it's like, I'm not authorizing this at all. You're not going to get leave without pay. I won't authorize it. And I had to gather myself because I expected, like maybe a month, maybe two, a semester, but nothing. So I kind of thought about it like, okay, if that's, what am I going to do? Are you going to fire me? Do I resign? What are my options? It's like, I'll talk to human resources and I'll get back to you tomorrow. And so I had a yucky feeling driving home because it wasn't my intention to resign. I thought about the kids. I could only take up to 5 days of sick leave without a doctor's note. I'm not sick. I don't need to go to the doctors. I can't find a sub. I can't take any of my personal days because there's no subs out there. So I thought about it, prayed about it, woke up the next morning, and I could just feel it in my gut. As soon as I got up, I knew I'm going to resign. Drafted the email, sent it out, got the hard copies ready, dropped them in the boxes in the morning. I had heard nothing the whole day. Any confirmation that my email was received, didn't see administration at all. So I was a little bummed about that. I was hoping that I would be acknowledged, that my choice was acknowledged, but it wasn't.
Especially after so many years of service.
So I was, and just the meeting the day before, it was so different, like, oh, we support what you're doing, or, you've done a lot for the community, but it's almost like a slap in the face,
It is. Yeah.
So that hurt me a lot. And I figured, you know what, I'm going to resign. I'm not going to have anything on my record because I was going to be written up for not coming to school and for not complying. So I figured if I come back into the DOE, if that, if that's the case, I wouldn't have anything on my record. It'd be a clean slate. I would have my years of service and I could apply anywhere in the DOE.
And so were you faced with the same thing she was faced with?
Yeah, DOE is right around, regardless if you're a HSTA teacher or just a EA, PPT, or PPE like me, or a sub. It's the same mandate all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a funny story too, because last week, so this past week I had my daughter. So I guess it was on Monday. The kids are going back to school now, so they had to get, I guess, tested. So on Monday she got a negative test. On Tuesday she had a headache. As kids do. I feel like the mask is part of that problem, and my daughter's 9, so she's growing really quick, and she had a headache, so she went to the health room, and they said that's a symptom of COVID, and can one of your parents need to pick you up. I was just like, I have tons of headaches. We have headaches every day. I guess if it's a symptom of COVID, but I went to go pick her up, and upon picking her up, she was just she's kind of sad about it. My kids aren't like me. They love school. I hated school, so sorry.
Kind of going off of what you're saying about the symptoms. Every year we start school and it's common. Kids are coughing, sneezing, and that's just the typical. And so I was seeing that in the classroom, and I had reached out. I said, what am I supposed to be looking for? Because it seems like everything that they do is a symptom, or it's a sign that we should be reaching out. They sent me something with everything: coughing, sneezing, headaches. And it blew my mind, because if we were in reality and it was a real school year, these things are always overlooked.
Oh, totally.
And it's bring your kids to school. Bring your kids to school. Like, we want them to be in school, but
Yeah.
it's like, so what are we really doing when we're sending them home for 10 days?
Totally.
You know?
Like, I felt as a parent, I did my job. Like, they're happy to go to school, yeah? Because I didn't like it. So I was like hurt, angry, and because like I guess I'm well known on social media. I can't cause a scene. So my hands are tied and stuff. I can't express how pissed off I am, yeah. But for these kids that love to go to school and now you cannot, I think it's gonna have like it's gonna affect them emotionally down the road, yeah. And how do we fix this? Where does it end? What's the solution, yeah? So I couldn't understand it, because like I said, none of this shit makes sense. And like they were so excited to go back to school, I don't know. It's a tough one because I didn't like I was saying, man, I would have been so happy if this happened when I was going to school. But I'm a different case. But so to have kids that actually want to go to school and want to learn and want to be in the classroom, and then because they have a headache or they have like just how like you said, they have regular health issues that normally would be overlooked. Now it's a big issue, and she was tested the day before on Monday, not good enough. But it was just the day before. No, it's a sign of COVID. She has to either get vaccinated, which even if you get vaccinated, you're asymptomatic, you can still spread it. So that doesn't make sense. And also these kids are getting tested like nonstops. To me, they're getting violated now. So I mean, look how far we've come, and that's why I said it's a civil rights movement. Because look how far we've come. We fought for equality. Like racially. Yeah.
Hmm.
Still fighting.
Still fighting. But that's so identifiable, right? If you go based on your skin color.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
I got a lot of comments like, why are you even saying this is segregation? Why is this discrimination? I said, because it is. Read the definition. It's not just by your gender.
Yeah.
It's by class. And this is the class that they're separating people into.
Mhm.
So, we teach our students to be complex thinkers, look outside of the box, be free thinkers. But are we really?
Yeah.
And
No,
that's hard for
totally.
me from last year, seeing everything that was going on, coming into the new year, like, yes, okay, we're going to get down to it. They're going to be back in school. We can get back to business. But no, so many restrictions. They can't be in groups. They have to sit at their desks. You need these shields up to block, and so many restrictions in place. And it's like, so what do I do? What can I do? How am I supposed to teach them? Every day I feel like I was committing a crime because I would refuse to do that. I would allow them to work in groups, work with each other, because for the past year, they did not see anybody. We saw each other on a computer screen every day.
Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart that I had to feel that way, that I was not being the teacher that they wanted me to be. And I was being the teacher that they needed versus,
Well, it's not that they need the kids, it's the institution needed you to be that way.
Right. And that was hard for me. And every day I would go, I know I was only in school for 4 weeks. And every day I would come in, I knew this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm teaching my kids. But I just felt so bad because it was not what the DOE wanted. And it's not what my, administration was saying. So yeah, I was breaking the rules, but I was doing it because it's what kids need. It's what's best for the kids. So to have to feel that way and put myself out there, and I see the people looking in my rooms and like, I don't like that. I don't like to be looked down on for doing what's best for kids. So that was hard.
Like I've been to prison, and it reminded me like it had that institutional feel, and like I was like, but these kids didn't do anything wrong, So that's why it's so like emotionally upsetting for me and frustrating, because I understand the teachers too. They went to school to become teachers. They spent a lot of time. They took out student loans. exhausted grants and other resources to help them just get through school, and they're doing their dream career, but now their whole dream career just flopped upside down and landed on its head. And it's totally different from what you guys set out to do. So, man, I applaud you guys. Shit, thanks. Whew. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing has been an emotional roller coaster for me too. Because in the beginning, actually, I thought it was worse than it was. Yeah, like so, I was worried. And did I send you? Did I send you the video that I
You
made?
did. Yeah.
Okay, so I made this video in the beginning of the pandemic, yeah, and I was worried, and I was concerned about like the public's like safety and the health, everybody's well-being, not just career-wise, but just their health in general, and to just see how But then that forced me to do. It gave me a lot of free time to do independent research and you know, I just I'm the type of person that I'll do my independent research and I'll challenge the narrative, ask questions, And here's the funniest part. It was I was in line at Starbucks before coming to work one day. And then and I was scared. You know, in my head I was like, "Oh, the government's not telling us how bad it is." Because I only saw what was going on social media and the news stations, yeah. And I bet you it's worse. They don't want us to panic. I gotta go get more arrows. I gotta get more fishing line, and I was on this little survival trip, yeah. Um, and then and then in the Starbucks line, the two people talking right in front of me, so I just kind of ear hustled them, yeah. I listened to their conversation, and it was like, and they started talking. I was listening to their conversation. It's like, it's fake. Uh, you know, they're using the same footage. You got Nobody's talking about the fact that they're using the same footage and they're using crisis actors. And right there, I was just like, interesting. So I kind of listened to their conversation, the same footage, crisis actors, and then I went online and I looked at it. And I was like, well, everybody's masked up. So I started looking at the backgrounds. I was like, okay, this is the same facility that they're saying is in New York, but it's the same facility from China, and it's the same facility in some other state. So they're reusing, and I do marketing, so it's like they had a media kit that they're all passing around to the news stations, every single news channel, saying it's in their town, saying it's you know the overflow. And immediately when they're saying they're overflowing and stuff, I I even drove to Kona urgent care because I went over here empty, took pictures, put it on my live, empty. I actually know people that work at Hilo Hospital, empty. Yeah, I was like, I gotta go see Kona. I drove 2 hours to urgent care, the one by Jackie Ray's in the back, empty. Table outside, but empty. And I sat in the parking lot. I went, got me a snack, came back, sat in the parking lot. Nobody was going. It wasn't overflowing with people, and I put it on my live and stuff, my story. So ever since then, I just started to question it heavily. And then, you know, I was finding out that there's all these inconsistencies of it. And, I started posting it. I don't know if you go like back in the beginning of this into my feed, you'll see like I screen record, the Department of Health website and all their inconsistencies. And in fact, we just made a meme about it now. Where did the meme go? We just made a meme. That's why. Oh, did you send me the meme, Bruce? Oh yeah, you did, right? Okay, yeah. So it says death rate in Hawaii, January to June, because that's all I could get on 2021. So 2021, January to June, death rate 5,940. 2020, 5,964. So there isn't big jumps. 2019, when there was no pandemic and no coronavirus, 6,038 in that 6-month time frame. 2018, 5917. So there's no huge spike when in fact there was a larger death rate before coronavirus was even a thing, yeah. And I was thinking, but there's a pandemic, you know, shouldn't there be a spike in deaths and stuff? So, like I said, it was just these inconsistencies to me that I started to kind of put together and then question the narrative. And everybody goes, conspiracy theorists, and
Mm-hmm.
we get called all these and labeled all these weird names. And I like to tell them, I was like, man, I've been a conspiracy theorist forever because I believe that there is aliens and UFOs, and they just release information that there is UFOs. So, I mean, a conspiracy theorist maybe is not such a bad, thing to be attached to, title to be attached to, yeah, because it just seems like everything's been, coming true that, what
Mm-hmm.
was called a conspiracy, several years ago. So,
But it's free thinking, though, right? When you're
yeah.
thinking outside of the box, outside of the narrative, then it's okay, you're not part of that. You're
Mhm.
not part of the plan. So you're the outlier.
Mhm.
So they need a label.
Yeah. So, wait, how do you feel about all this stuff?
Um,
Has it affected your kids, your classroom?
it's a struggle. I mean, like you said, not everybody knows everybody's medical history. I have been, I mean, not much people know, but I have been unvaccinated for a long time. And that
Mhm.
was based upon my husband and I's research into vaccines. We used to vaccinate a long time ago before.
Mhm.
Our kids got sick every year, despite getting the flu shot. When we decided to stop, rarely sick. Hydrate. If we feel anything, you hydrate, Hawaiian medicine, pule, um, and we're okay.
Mhm.
And even now, um, like her post. I know I've never commented on it. I loved it. I've never commented on it because that makes it open for argument. And working within the DOE or working anywhere where you represent a label or an entity,
Mhm.
you have to watch what you say. So even when I'm out in public, if there's a disagreement with me and somebody, I'm always looking, do I have a logo, because you don't want to do anything. But never commented on her post, stand with her wholeheartedly, different ways on how we're dealing with it. Um, it's the bashing. I
Yeah,
read through
yeah,
all those comments
yeah.
and you have all of the ones that support, and she can totally go and open up her own school and she'll have tons of students.
Mhm.
I can guarantee that. But it's the ones in between that bash. Oh, she's not for the students. If you are a true teacher, how can you leave? Um, the ones like me who are choosing to stay, you're not a hero. And I put that in a post for myself because it
Mhm.
was eating away with me. Like, hey, wait a minute. We're both educators. Her choice, her option, my choice, my option. But we're always educators. Even as a parent, you're an educator. You're the first
Definitely. Yeah,
educator,
yeah, yeah.
right? So just to see all of that, those negative comments from outsiders, and by outsiders I mean like people on a different moku,
Mhm.
like Southside community where we're from. We grew up together. We know how our families are, so it's easy for us to say she get them. No matter where
Yeah,
she
yeah.
goes, she get them.
Because they know her personally
Yes.
too.
But from the ones that are coming from the outside saying, she not one teacher, or the ones
Yeah.
that's not following her are not educators, you guys not about the kids. We're always about the kids.
Mhm.
If you're not in our shoes as a teacher who's resigning or a teacher that is still showing up, you just don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't know what we see when we walk in the classroom. Like I taught last year through the pandemic in a classroom. I didn't do distance learning. I don't know what it's like to teach virtually because I was in person every day with my students. And every day I showed up, even telling them you cannot hug, they would always try to hug.
Yeah, yeah.
Cover your mouth, you still get sneezed on,
Mhm.
They're flicking boogers in the classroom. Like I go home with boogers. It's just what happens as a teacher,
Mhm.
no matter where you teach. If
Yeah.
you're a teacher and you say you never got boogers on you, then
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Oh man, I was a naughty kid too, so I remember doing that sliding, bro. Just brush
or like
against.
underneath the
I think
table,
it's funny too.
Oh
You're
my
a teacher
gosh.
in 2021 and you still feel Hanabatas from like 1983 or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that. For my kids, they cannot vaccinate. They haven't been vaccinated. and they're
As a
okay.
parent, your
As a
children.
parent,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, as a parent. And they go to school. They love school too. Maybe not one. One would rather stay home, but the other one, she's very
Same.
social.
Same.
One is like
Same.
the dad. One is like me.
Same.
But they're okay because as children, they don't make those kind of judgments. They don't know judgment until the adult tells them something to make them judge. All of our kids are innocent. Me, some naughty, yeah, but they don't know until we tell them. They don't know somebody's not vaccinated or vaccinated until we tell them.
Yeah.
And then that causes the separation. So when I made my post, because I have ohana that are going through COVID right now, life-threatening, and you just lift them in pule. And I also have ohana who did the vaccine and are experiencing side effects. So it goes both ways. I'm not totally anti-vax, but based on our research, that's where we stand with our ohana. And that's that.
I think I really think that's most of our. So I talk to a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people that aren't vaccinated yet. I mean, I do have several friends that are vaccinated. There's no division between us. We still drink beer, share beers, or try to shot or something. There's no difference. Life goes on. But I've noticed from the vaccinated community, it gives them this what they think is a moral high ground to judge others by what do they call that, grandstanding, and that to me that's the problem. Where's the support? I respect your choice, and just please respect my choice too. And that needs to come back into the conversation, needs to come back into the relationships. So I mean, even when you look at, I just had this conversation. Actually, I did it on live. So since my personal page, my live was cut, I wasn't allowed to go on live yesterday. So I went on top of my farmers market page. I had a good discussion with brought a hood from, he's from a different island too, but he was vaccinated, and I said you gotta think of, look at what we're doing right now with the resources we have. There's a fragile demographic. There's a demographic 60 and over that need a little bit more care, yeah. But like I said, save the beds for them. If you're, if you're young, you're healthy, and I made this. I talked about Hilo Medical Center because I know how much ICU beds, COVID ICU beds are in there. Yeah, there's 18. I said most of us live in multi-generational homes. So, if you have 6 people living in your house and one feels sick and you're watching the news, your whole household is scared. Now your whole household wants to go to the hospital, and now you're taking up 6 beds, which is a third of the space of Hilo Hospital. So if 3 families go in there, I made this example, yes. If 3 families, you're full. The 4th one comes in, overflow. And they talk about the media and kind of sensationalize. Oh, we're overflowed. We're packed to the gills because people are sick. But they're talking about cases. They're not talking about the 99.9% survival rate of this. Yeah, and because we're fighting about non-vax and vax, we can't we can't malama that fragile demographic. The 60 and over, because now we're fighting over all these different things where normally, give them the focus, give them the beds, priority. And I don't know, maybe a little bit more Hawaiian values. So we think about that kind of stuff, but not a lot of people do. And shoot, let's give them the resources, to better their chances. I think, but it goes back to women's rights, because people have made that comparison. It sounds vulgar, but rape. But they made the rape comparison, yeah. And I was just like, wow, that's shocking, But it's true. Why aren't more women on this? Because there's a point in history where you guys couldn't even vote. Why aren't more women looking at the bigger picture and say, our right, this is our right to choose? even with Roe versus Wade or abortions and stuff. The right to take something out of your body or the right to put something into your body. Yeah? Why aren't people looking at it in that context and in that way that's what they have to stand up, unite, and fight for? Because like how you said, it creates a caste system. Now everybody has to take these boosters every year. Once you accept that, and once they can get the majority of the people can round them up and accept that as the new normal, then now every year there's a booster. And it might be cool. Then there's this new variant. And this now the booster for this new variant is say it's $5,000. Remdesivir is $3,500 for a treatment. So there's this booster that's $5,000. Who can afford that? The rich can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Middle to low class can't afford it. Not in Hawaii. Not at 980K average home price. So now you got class casting again. Dirty guys, elites again. So we have to not let it get to that point. Yeah. And like I said, for me, that's the conversation we need to address, and where the unity needs to come in to fight those things. Yeah.
And it's hard because you can only tell people so much and share. It's up to them what they're going to believe. But it's like you really have to step back because, like you mentioned, it's not about being vaccinated, or not. It's what's going on around it, like stepping back and really looking into it. And it's so complex. There's so many different things going on at the same time. So it's so hard to focus on one thing. And I feel like that's what they want, to push whatever it is that they're trying to push through, And, I'm going to go back to my mom thing, but both of my kids, they're in high school. They've been waiting their entire life to play high school sports, played soccer, did judo since they were 5. Finally get that opportunity, they need to be vaccinated to do that. Or they need to test, was twice a week? They said student athletes, twice a week. It blows my mind. They go onto campus in the morning. There's no precautions, no temperature taking, no checking, whatever. But then you sit through classes, 5-6 classes a day with all these students. You're mingling. Oh, but then you're going to show up to play sports with like 20 other students, but you got to test. So where's the precaution for the entire day of school? Mm-hmm. So it's been hard, like having to deal with that as a parent. And then that, the other aspect of, being in the DOE with that, it's just been so frustrating to see. And it's just, for me, because the kids, for me, it's everything. I look at it from that perspective. They're trying to get to the kids in some way or some form.
Yeah.
Get rid of the teachers. Who's going to suffer the most? Not the DOE, the students, the kids are suffering. And it just kills me to see this.
Yeah.
It's like step back and really look at what's happening. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just...
No, yeah, no.
It kills me. My kids, they're playing HISA. Their HISA season just got pushed back because of the new gatherings. 10 outdoors, like 10, there's 12 on a team. So there goes that. So what are we doing to these kids?
Yeah. Not only that too, you're taking away opportunities. Like, I keep on bringing back like the cost of living in Hawaii, but like your kids might need scholarships. Now they can't get it to go for higher education. So you're stripping away that opportunity also for higher education through sports and scholarship programs and stuff. You're taking that away from it. Again, who's not affected by that? The rich. So everybody needs to kind of keep in mind, like how you said, the bigger picture of what's going on here. Yeah. Oh wait, hold on. It is limited space. I gotta switch out my card. So do you work at an immersion school? No.
Public.
Olelo Hawaii?
No.
Okay.
Oh, you're asking me if I speak?
Yeah.
Not fluent.
Oh, okay.
I can't understand, but if I talk back, it might be something else. But that's because, growing up, we grew up in a household where our kupuna, they were banned from it. So when we grew up, they spoke it, but behind closed doors. So it's fortunate that there's that option now.
Yeah, it's
And
a
I'm pretty
beautiful
sure
thing.
there was options for us back then to go in emergency. Hello, right? Immersion. But we just stayed public school.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, like, I was so tempted to like go back to school just for that, but I had a hard time going to school in the first place. I actually got my GED in prison, so at least I got it though.
Yeah.
And then but I feel like I'm at a place now where you know I loved reading though my whole life. I was just really crappy at math. Still am. Need a calculator, but I'm at a place in life where now I can sit down and I can concentrate on the lessons. Growing, I remember like Little Wayne had this interview. I was watching this interview by Little Wayne, and he talked about school because he's in all GT classes and stuff. And he said, the thing I don't think people know about school is that they give you the book, and all the answers are in the book. And I was just like, I was thinking back when I was young. I was like, how did I complicate that? How did I he's right. They're giving you the answers. You just gotta know how to find them, yeah. And now I know how to find them. So I think I'd do better in school if I went back now. I feel like I'm so busy and stuff. But I do want to learn the language. I do want to learn the language. So maybe soon.
It's a
See where this
struggle though,
goes.
I want to learn it too.
Mhm.
But when I sit down to try, there's always a distraction, or I just think like I cannot do it.
Mhm.
Or even just to go back to school to get certified. I have a BA in sociology, but I never took any ed classes. And in order for me to become a certified teacher, I got to do that. But when you look at like all the prereqs and all of that math, like I get nervous because in high school, I wasn't in high school.
Yeah.
I was in Kauai High on Makali in the middle of the ocean doing something. So everything for me is celestial. I didn't do math in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what scares me is being at the age I am now, going back to school, the time. Yeah. Still debating.
Okay, so what do you guys feel about the whole the civil rights argument? And have you guys actually, because were you guys were part of the Mauna Kea thing too, and you guys supported the Mauna Kea, and
I just didn't go up.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys stayed down.
I went up a couple times. It's so much.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
I mean, yeah, that's one of the things that really confused me was the hui stances on the vaccination thing. And I was like, I read that, I saw it on EVTV and stuff, and I was blown away at how they came out and supported the vaccine. And they also made the argument like, if our kupunas were alive, that it's almost like they came out and they were trying to shame us, into getting vaccinated again, and they were using, our history. But I told somebody too. I was just like, hey, man, you know how they got all our land and our culture through religion. They said that it was hedonistic, and that's how we were practicing a bad religion, and to believe them, it's all about religion. That's why people are dying and stuff. And they stole they stole a lot of land and a lot of our culture under the guise of religion. Yeah, now they're stealing our bodies under the guise of science and medicine. And without without a lot of good data to back it up. But I would think that given the history and what happened with us in the past, that they would say, let these Hawaiians be Hawaiian the way they want to be Hawaiian when they want to be Hawaiian. You know what I mean? Like, let them choose instead of taking that choice away from us. Yeah, because basically that's what they're standing for. They're standing to take that choice away from us again on how we want to live our life, because it wasn't agreed with the missionaries. The way we lived wasn't agreed with missionaries, and it's never, just like how you said, the reason why we lost our language because it wasn't agreed. The inculcation, indoctrination, and I feel it's still continuing. this is it's connected to that. So why would you say we shouldn't have the choice? Do you guys see that though on the Weavy TV?
I didn't watch that, but that whole conversation can be like a whole conversation on its own.
Yeah.
And, for what I'm going to say, and I'm ready if there's, anybody that disagrees, but like we never went up to Mauna Kea because you're told in the beginning, kapu aloha. And inside of us, we don't want the telescope on there, but for us to be there physically, we didn't feel like our kapu aloha was going to be right. Like we would be too open to voice something rather than like just be calm, especially my husband. So we didn't go. And that's our choice.
No, totally.
And then in regards to culture, my ohana, we have like, my grandma's a retired pastor. So Christianity is in my ohana. We pule to Keokua, and we're told and taught that that's who's first in our life. And I do that. But being a Hawaiian, culturally, I know who I am, where I come from. And so I respect my culture as well. That doesn't mean that I'm putting my Hawaiian culture above Christianity. Because, when it's my time to go, I answer. Nobody else.
Totally.
But I respect my culture. I respect my kupuna that came before me, those that stand alongside of me right now, because they are who and what made me who I am today. It's about perpetuating. Like I always tell, perpetuate the past, live the present, teach the future. It's the only way.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so what was your take on that? How did you feel about that?
I took my kids up there to see what was happening because they were hearing everything. And I wanted them to see with their own eyes because, it's our opinion, right, of what's happening. It's not right, it's not wrong, but it's what we feel and believe. So I took them up there, and they didn't want to be up there to see what was happening. And when I went up there, it was a shock. I couldn't, just to see what was happening, to see what they were fighting for, how they were holding the line. And the day that we went up there was the day that they brought all that force up, and it was really scary to see that. And you need to move across the street, take all the kids, and it was really eye opening to them. They haven't seen anything like that in their life. So to see that, and that still is a big thing. But then you have families up there. I saw my students up there. How do you address that, without taking sides, but where your stance is on that? So, coming back into the classroom, it's like, they talk about it, but we can't talk about it. I think there was an email, right? Or a memo that came out, to kind of keep that out of the conversation. I swear there was something. I feel like something was sent. And you couldn't wear the clothing. So you couldn't wear anything that represented the movement. They didn't want that in the classroom. So again, that's what it is. That's what it's going to be. So you're part of the DOE, you cannot. And so it was hard.
Yeah. No, yeah. Because it goes back to like what you were saying about how you were reading all those comments, about, people from outside the community. You guys come from, making all those judgments and all the statements and stuff. And excuse me. And I saw your interview with Brenton and stuff. And to me, I was just like, So, and when people are saying, oh, you can just leave the kids. I'm going to leave the kids are going to stay in what I considered a abusive relationship. So that's what you got out of. So in my opinion, I don't know, but in my opinion, I saw that you just removed yourself from an emotionally abusive relationship too. So props for doing that, man. That takes some guts.
I thought this was going to be my life. I had already set that up. Like, I'm going to be doing this till I'm like retirement age or probably even longer. Because this is what I wanted to do. This is like my dream job. But I've seen it already as a parent. And that is why I wanted to push to be a teacher, because I saw the things that I wanted to change as a parent. And I knew that once I get into the classroom, I could do that. but it has been so difficult, so difficult trying to speak up, stand for the kids and knowing what they want, because we do know what they want. We're with them all day,
Yeah.
longer than our kids.
Yeah.
So for me, I felt that I was contributing to the suffering of what was going on and how I had to teach them. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And like you mentioned about the abandonment, and that was huge. That hurt me so bad. And that's why I addressed it. Yes, I know that I'm leaving the students, but I can't do much for them if I'm in the classroom with them. I can teach them, but I want to do so much more that I just cannot do if I'm attached to that. Yeah. So that hurt me the most, and I know that I'm not abandoning them. I will do a lot more for them outside of the DOE. So yeah, I did leave in a very unhealthy relationship, and I do not regret it at all.
Oh, that's good.
At all.
Yeah, I was thinking, shit, I hope something opens up for you.
It's been crazy. Yeah. So many things.
So has any doors been open?
A lot of people has reached out about it. I talked with an administrator that I used to work with as an EA. He also left the DOE, same beliefs. So he called me and we talked for a little bit, and, he just, kept saying, you have something, you are something special. I knew from the first time I worked with you, just, keep that and make that your passion, and, what could go wrong. But I've been having a lot of, outreach and, people wanting to help. I'm going to start small. There's
like a private tutorial kind of thing?
Yeah, just kind of like a homeschool kind of thing. Okay. I'm going to try with my homeschool pod. There's a few other teachers that are going to be leaving that, our hope is to kind of band together and create something. Mm-hmm. Just waiting, I don't know what's ahead, and just kind of waiting that out.
Yeah. I mean, that takes, that's part of what I got from school, is a social interaction too. And, that's going to be missed out on, for a lot of these kids too. Yeah. So I was thinking, how are they going to, what tools are they going to have now? Because that's a tool in itself. Yeah. Learning how to cooperate with new kids and new people, and, in a way to interact with them correctly and, respectfully, but demanding that, they interact with you respectfully also. Yeah. Will it make them socially awkward after this? How is it, going to damage them? I have a friend that, like, the daughter's deathly afraid to go back to school. She's like, I don't want to die. That whole scare. I'm just like, and she, 8 years old to go counseling and therapy. It's weird. It's just weird to me. 7 years old.
Yeah, it's gonna affect them mentally, and like how you were saying with your daughter, saying she has a headache, having to go home.
She's gonna hide those things.
That's gonna, exactly. Now they're not gonna say when they're gonna have a headache or they have a headache, because they're gonna be scared that they're gonna get sent home. Mm-hmm. So then now you're never gonna know if they're really, really sick.
Yeah, no, exactly. So now when they're sick, then when they really are sick, they're gonna hide it. So yeah, that's a lot of people aren't thinking about all these all these other nuances and things connected to what's going on in our school system. Yeah.
Another big thing is, the vaccinated teachers, and that's their right to get vaccinated. We're doing it to protect the kids. We're doing it because they can't get their vaccinations, and that's our right. That's what we have to do. That's why we're being responsible about it, and that's what I'm seeing. A lot of that is coming out.
Grandstanding.
Yeah, and it's like, well, what makes it different from our right if we're choosing not to? So that brought up. And I try my best to stay away from comments and looking at all that. Because it, like I mentioned, like seeing that, like, oh, that totally broke me. But one of my former students, I just so happened, I was like, hey, I'm just going to go scan through real quick and check it out. I saw a comment from one of my former students, and like this killed me. I looked up to this teacher when I was in 5th grade. I lost all respect for her because of her position on this and not thinking about the communities. Who that like I cried when I saw that. So I reached out and I said, I'm so proud of you for expressing your freedom of speech and your, it's powerful and that's huge. But it hurt me, and I said,
Yeah.
that hurts me to hear that something that I'm choosing that's best for me
Mhm.
is being frowned upon.
Mhm.
I it blows my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
It blows my mind.
And not only that, the fact that, like I said earlier, the the vaccinated teachers can still spread it. They're asymptomatic, and if you look at now, they're showing that I posted that too. Sweden, who has cut off, they they just stopped all mandates for over a year and a half now. No social distancing, basically normal, like COVID never existed for the last year and a half now. They have the lowest numbers. And then you have Israel, which had the highest vaccination rate. Now they have a huge spike in numbers too. So I think we should just like all accept that, man, this thing, like the flu, is here to stay. Now let's live life again. We accept that it's here to stay. Um, and then like I said, we can focus on the fragile demographic, yeah. But it's here to stay, And once we accept that, man, we should be able to, live life again. But I guess it's coming to this you know um edge where we have to stand together, vaxxed and non-vax. And I said this too before. So if you're vaccinated and I'm fighting for your right to choose, right now it's the ball is in your court. But next time it might be the other way around. So when I'm fighting for you. I'm still fighting for you. Even if it's a vaccination issue, I'm fighting for your right to choose, and that is the same. It's the same for vax, same for non-vax. The right to choose. And we need to I feel we need to just kind of come together and put personal ideals and differences to the side and focus on the real issue is the right to choose. Because next time it might be on the opposite end for the vaccinated. So which it might happen because they're seeing mutations and stuff,
And the
and
booster shots, right?
yeah.
What if they don't want to get the booster shots?
Mhm.
Yeah. It does go both ways though. Everybody's always going to have an opinion. And back in my younger days, it'd be quick to just judge somebody based on their opinion. But now, as a parent, educator, and who I am now, you just gotta huddle whatever in, high it out, and just agree to disagree, but come together. Because
Yeah.
as long as there's opinions and arguments about it, we're always gonna be divided.
But I think, that's what they want. You know, I saw Tulsi Gabbard's post, and like I was upset with Tulsi because she didn't come to Mauna Kea. She didn't like, she's from Hawaii. She didn't, and it was the community. The community banded together to say that we don't want this here. It didn't say we're anti-science. You know, it just said that we don't want it here. That's all. It's a sacred place to us, and we're not going to back down. Please respect that. You haven't respected anything in the past, but just give us this one. You know. And then, I was thinking Tulsi was going to come speak on it. Like we had The Rock come, and Jason Momoa and all these cool stars, and Damian Marley and stuff. And then Tulsi, who's from Hawaii and represented Hawaii, didn't come. I was like, really upset, but I saw one of her posts and she was, she has military background, and what she was talking about, the military, and I was surprised that she was calling out the elites, and she said it's all corporate backed. The government is owned by these big corporations, and now even with these, pharmaceutical companies, they're making billions of dollars a month. They have so much money to curve and sway public, public trust, public opinion. They have millions of dollars. Like the Arculiana thing, they wrapped it up in a cool Hawaiian word and something that Hawaiians are emotionally attached to, and basically, took away again, use Hawaiians to take away our right to choose how we want to be Hawaiian again, you know. So that was, you know, and I was super upset by that too. But you know, what do you guys think?
Just thinking about looking at it from the outside. I mean, when you're not feeling well, where do you go? If you're sick, where do you go?
Lonks.
No. Yeah, to pick up your medication. But before that, who will prescribe that to you? Usually a doctor,
Yeah.
right? And that's who you confide in, right? When I'm driving home, I live South Kona. I'm passing establishments that I've known and I go to pop-up shops to do the vaccine. And that kills me to see that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you see that too when you're, and I ask myself, whoa, my doctor should be the one giving me a shot.
Yeah.
I go to
Definitely.
the doctor for this. But to have it just in the community like that, it just bothers me to see that. And it's just, it's becoming more and more.
Yeah.
And it's evident what the community wants, or the people pushing this out into the community. And how do you stand up to that though?
Yeah, I just had that conversation with Kendall too.
Like, how do I mean, I can go lay down on the ground right there in front of it to, you know, I can video them and I can talk to them, but they're going to just keep popping up. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do
Well,
you do?
well, that's why I say these rallies are very important, and for people that, you know, just like how in your guys' position with like Mauna Kea and stuff, like how you supported it, but supported from on the bottom, you know. Even though the people can't make it to the rallies, send people that can make it to the rallies. You know, encourage them to go out for the rallies. Help educate them on why it's important. Um, you know, I was arguing with somebody on one of Kendall's posts. He's just doing it for the clout. I was like, no, he's not. He's doing it for us, because there's a group of us that have anxiety and don't want to be there, but still believe in what he's fighting for. And you know, like there's many different ways to fight this fight, yeah. And some of those, and maybe he's not good at the emails or the calls to the mayor's office and stuff. But his thing is, he's a fighter. He's going out there and fight. You know, you know, he's been in huge stadiums and in front of thousands of people, so he doesn't have that anxiety or a little bit shame or shyness to go, you know, out in front of big public things and speak, and he just doesn't care. You know, he's used to it. And then you have the other group that are kind of timid but still believe in the same thing he believes in. So you can do, you know, you can do your you can still fight, but in your own way, with the cause, and you know, encouraging people and help educating people that, you know, it's not vax versus non-vax, it's a pro-choice thing. Yeah.
So funny that you bring that up. Monday is going to be huge. Tomorrow is going to be huge. State and county workers, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, what bothers me is the transparency. And this was something that I did talk about. You know, if these mandates are being pushed into workplaces, schools, administration, bosses, whoever, they need to be able to talk to that and address it. And that has not happened in I can confidently answer this, has not been addressed in my school. And that leaves that silence, like you're feeling divided, right? If it's not going to be addressed, okay, so we're going to keep to ourselves. We don't know who is, who's not, but that's the whole problem. Parents aren't aware. They don't know what's going to happen. You know, I kind of went, you know, seeing an email that I got, I'm like, parents, now is your time. What's going to happen to your kid on Monday? Do you know if the teacher's going to show up or not? Do you know if the school's going to be shut down? But administration will not take accountability. They're not letting parents know this. And that to me is a problem. If you're bringing this in to the community, it's going to affect everybody. So why keep quiet about this? I don't know. How has it been at your school? Has administration been open?
Our principal is, you know, she's an awesome principal. She's very open with us. She lets us know things ahead of time, at least from my standpoint. And she's always available to talk, whether through text or in the office if she has time. She's very open, which I'm very grateful for. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I uploaded my test results. I'm going to show up tomorrow. I'm showing up ready to work. ready to sub in if I have to, because I don't know who's going to be there. We're a very small school, K to 5. Not very much teachers. We've already lost support staff throughout the week because of their personal choices not to vax or not to test. So going to work tomorrow,
I know.
it'll be interesting.
Right?
We've already had students not come because of their parents' choice to keep them home. So going to work tomorrow, I don't know who's going to be there, students or staff. I don't know if there's going to be a bunch of parents on the bottom of the road waving signs in support of their teachers, because I've read that may happen at a lot of schools. I don't even know if teachers are going to be there standing with the parents. So, but I'm ready.
I'm ready too. I had some parents reaching out. They called schools. Schools said business as usual, I guess, based on that monitoring system that they had. But I had 2 tell me the administration said that they would ultimately shut down the whole school if they're short-staffed. So could you imagine dropping your kid off tomorrow, going to work, and then getting the call, oh, you need to come back because the school shut down, but you're already at work. Who's going to watch? Who's going to fill in for you? Who's going to pick up? And I just feel that, the transparency, even though they're talking about it being transparent all the time, I don't see that. I don't see that on my end. It was a real fight to get our administrator to address this. And I feel like if we didn't push that, it would never have been addressed. So that's why the feeling that I'm having is so different, versus yours,
Yeah.
a smaller school. But it was never formally addressed.
Well, then it's different for both of us too, because you're a certified teacher with HST. You have different rules to follow. With me, I just call myself an educator because I'm not certified, but I'm able to call in if I have to. I don't have to find a sub. I am a sub. They call me. But with you, you have to call a sub. If you were still, you'd have to call a sub. And those are not readily available.
They're, especially this year because of the fear, right? And that's their, protection.
And I'm just a sub in my school. I didn't go to sub everywhere else, just my school.
Right. So not even being able to find a sub.
Mm-hmm.
Having to secure a sub for personal days. I can't take a personal day until I find a sub.
Okay, so we all know the problems that, school and our kids are facing. So what's the solution? How do we fix this?
It's a really
And you guys can
hard question to ask us here.
and you guys can, but be brutally honest. Say how can we fix this? How can we fix these kids? How do we? I mean, there's so much damage has been done already, but moving forward, what's the solution in your guys' opinion?
Oh, that one's hard.
That is
because the damage is not just to the kids; it's to the adults as well. Even me, stresses me out as a parent. Having to think of my kids, as an educator, having to think about the kids that I'll be servicing. As a person of a community, what are people going to think? I'm not vaccinated. Are they going to look at me different? And that's where, for me, it's, like I said, I got to handle that in and high it out and just keep going. Because if I let that affect me, then I'm not fighting for myself.
So Ash, what?
I think time.
Yeah, pop quiz, Ash.
I know, these quizzes. I think it's a simple answer, but complex, is really looking at what the kids need and not just saying, oh, we're doing what's best for kids, but then your actions show otherwise. For me, it's if I'm going to say something, I'm doing it regardless.
Accountability. I love that.
And it's because I do the same thing. If you make a mistake in class or you don't do your homework, you're going to take accountability. We're learning, and it's more than just doing homework. It's a life skill. It's, getting yourself ready for life. If you say that you're for the kids and you say you're going to do something for the kids, then do it. I'm going to use this as an example because this really killed me last year too. We were out of school 3 quarters, only on the computer, starting to bring kids back. Oh, we're bringing them all back. Oh, okay. What do we do when we bring them all back? We test them, give them a state test.
That they're not prepared for. Obviously, right?
I'm like 3/4 virtually. When we take our whole day, which is 5 to 6 hours of teaching, condense it into an hour and a half because screen time versus seat time, so different.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, so we're going to bring them back. They haven't seen each other. They haven't been in a classroom for 3/4, and we're going to test them. Why are we doing this again? Can you remind us? Because we know that these scores are not going to be great. And that just bothers me. Oh, we're doing what's best for kids. That is not doing what's best for kids. You're going to bring them and you're going to love them and you're going to teach them social emotional things, learning how to be with kids again, being in a classroom. It just blows my mind. So what we can do to make the schools better, finding the people that's willing to put their name on the line and fight for them wholeheartedly and not just say, oh, I'm going to do this for the kids and then do something else.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Where's like what are you teaching them without accountability?
Yes.
First off, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Was that a tough
I don't know if that answered your question. It just made me a little bit fired up over here, but I don't know if that really answered it. It's just like, I know teachers are there for the kids. They are. But it's the higher ups and even above, it's just so hard to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed like even with the whole Mauna Kea movement and stuff, everybody at one point they're bashing the cops, oh, it's fucking, fake Hawaiians, plastic Hawaiians, arresting Hawaiians, and I said, stop, dude. They answer to somebody, and the fact that they answer to somebody, that's who, we kind of got to go after. We got to aim towards them, because if they weren't firing those orders down the line, Hawaiians wouldn't be arresting other Hawaiians, yeah? And who are they getting that from? Where is that influence, or, how is it's getting passed down the line? So, you just got to go cut the head off the snake, basically. Yeah? So I always thought about that too. And I see a lot of their tactics, that, the same lies and marketing that they used against us up at Mauna Kea. I see them using it against us now. Now, like they said, oh, we're violent, angry Hawaiians, and all we do up there is party, and we're mean to the tourists that come up there. And I lived up there, and everybody was very respectful, yeah. And I know and we're holding ourselves in that same aloha, at the state capitals and at these rallies. I went to the first rallies, I went to the second rally in Maui. I went to the first one on Oahu. It's the same energy, and very respectful, but we're going to stand strong and we're not going to give up, and they had that. And it's the same thing, man. Now you see Green on TV lying about, oh, they're violent protesters and they're saying anti-Semitic things. And it's a lie. We saw the lies the first time. And that's why, I get triggered when, I see Hawaiians, especially the Hawaiian community, buy into those lies again. I was like, we just went through this the other year, and we're going through it again now. And now we're fighting each other again, when we didn't do that last year because we were all there. So unless you're there, maybe don't speak on it in such a negative light, or go there and experience it for yourself before you speak on it and cause more divide. That's my take on that.
But like just thinking about that, having to go to the higher ups. And I always think like, do you guys have kids of your own when you're making these decisions? Do you know what's going to happen?
I was so upset with the Jane Capella thing too, man.
Oh.
That
Are we going there?
that boiled my blood.
That boiled my blood. So, funny story with her, like I respect her. I've respected her. She was going to be a part of my classroom this year. She was going to come in. We were going to collaborate on some things, and, she's going to speak to the students.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that, and
Yeah.
that just, and then it goes back to, do you have kids of your own?
Yeah.
Because if you had a child of your own, I don't know if those words would have come out of your mouth and gone onto this letter. Mm-hmm. But it is, I question that all the time. Do they even have kids? Do they even know what it's like to be around kids? And you're making these calls, and yes, everybody has to follow suit. But what happens if we don't? What happens if that pushback is there? A few will push, the rest will comply. But What happens if we all push back to
Yeah.
that?
I made like, they would ask me like, I had this design called Hulida system, yeah. And they were like, and they made some good points though. Somebody had made a point. So even if we get one Hawaiian into office and he's surrounded by 9 other non-Hawaiians or people with agendas that aren't Hawaiian, you know, he's going to have to change. He's going to have to conform with the other 9 people that he works around, or they're just going to out him. They're going to snub him and not include him in things and decisions and things that he should normally be included in. So I tell everybody, so you know what? We have to put 9 people from the community in that position. So now that one guy, that one foreigner or out of towner or whatever, has to follow suit with the Hawaiians and their ideals and their, and what they want to do with the community. It's just always comes back to community. Like how are these people representing the community? I'm in the community. I don't ever see them. So how are they making these calls for us? That affect our kids, that affect our health, that affect our careers. These politicians they weren't rich before getting into office. They became rich after being in office. And you can Google that. Google net worths of your favorite politician before he was in office and just do comparisons. They're millionaires by the time they're out of office. How do you become a millionaire when you make top paying salary, Josh, 170, $170,000, which is a really good, it's a really good salary because teachers are doing what, 50?
Maybe less if.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I said that too on a different podcast that prison guards make more than teachers. So that has to say something, man. Prison guards make more than teachers. How does that happen? It should be the other way around so that kids don't land in prison. They have tools, they're educated, they have tools to make better decisions to not go to prison. So pay this group more money. And but hold those teachers accountable because if you pay them, if you pay them well enough and they show that they don't care for the kids' education, so fire them, get them out. Give teachers like yourself that care about their profession that opportunity to teach kids and give to kids tools to make better life decisions and chase opportunities and their dreams, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it is, yeah. Politicians every year, oh, we're going to do this for education, that for education. Then you show up to the school year and administration's like, cannot budget cuts. So it's like, what happened to what the politicians said they were going to do or provide? And with Capella, it was a shocker for me because I served the community with her. When we did community feeding, she was part of it. But then to draft that email that said, having children vaccinated without parents' consent, that's like a different level.
That is a different level. Yeah, but then, you brought up a good point though. And there's a point that everybody brought up. She's not a parent. She doesn't understand like how hurtful and disrespectful that is, so.
I mean, did she have a conference with anyone or an online meeting to address that? Let her people know?
She had a TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
She's a TikTok
the
about
aftermath,
it.
Yeah. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
That was so shocking to see. I thought that was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even believe she... Sorry.
So what we're seeing right now, we're seeing, and I always try to look at the positive side of even bad situations. We're seeing all these people supporting certain types of things that we don't agree with. And we have to look and we have to remember those names because those are the names that you definitely do not need to check at the ballot box next time. Go. You might even want to go opposite, even if you don't like it. Just go opposite. Maybe hooling the system. That's part of it. Going totally opposite. it's almost like it can't get worse. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So,
But just like what you said about bullying the system, that's the problem. Everyone's going to comply starting from the top, right? Everyone's going to do what they have to do. The teachers are just doing what they know that they have to do. They show up every day. They work so hard. They're there on the weekends. They're there past their contract hours. But what if you had that administrator challenge? What if you had that administrator stand up and push back? That would give the teachers hope and know that they're being supported. So I think that's a hard one too, about, because I'm still thinking about the question that you asked me, because that was a big question. All it takes is just one.
yeah.
Just one.
One to start it off.
One to start it off.
I hope you guys are those ones who started off. I will try to hurry up and put this podcast out ASAP, because I feel like the message and the timing is very relevant to what we're going through. So again, man, mahalo for you guys' time. Yeah, and good luck though too. Yeah. So, all right. I'm gonna wrap up the podcast. You guys want to say anything in closing?
We just got to come together more as a community. I know we talked a lot about what happens within the DOE and what's going on in the DOE, but the outside picture is, as a community, we need to come together and stay together. We have to be dependent upon one another. And, we're all posting things about, I respect your choice to be vaccinated. I respect your choice to not be vaccinated. So respect my choice. We all got to hold ourselves to that. Respect the other person's choice. Don't just post it and do something different right after.
Yeah.
Don't just do it for Facebook or Instagram. Be about it. Respect each other. We always say it takes a village, And if it takes a village, then be that village. Don't be the one fighting, We're all educators teaching differently, but it's all for the same purpose, for the kids. That's our future.
Yeah, definitely. So in closing, what do you have to say?
So bouncing off of Trish, yes, be about everything that you say you're going to do, regardless of the stance or the position you're taking, and, respect that. We're both taking two different routes to teach kids, but we're going to respect that. That's why we came together, because it's important. It's not one way is the best way. It's the way that's best for you. Choose what's best for you. And I think supporting everybody, and not just like Trish said, on Facebook, on social media, really make sure your actions match that. So I think that's huge for me. Actions speak louder than words. I know that's so cliche, but it is so true. Actions do speak louder than words.
So, yeah. You can apply that to your relationships too. Okay. Well, thank you guys. And I'm going to close out the Round Block podcast, where we talk to people instead of about them. Thank you guys. Aloha.
Mahalo.